Picking up from the previous video, our part one, which is the Blender user interface. So now we are diving into transform tools and how we can move in 3D space using objects. Okay, so the first one is interface and navigating 3D space. Now it's object based. All right, let me turn on all my objects gizmo right here so you could see that we do have a if I look at my collection, we have my camera and I have two lights right here. Okay, so and if we look at it in the final output, that's what it looks like. We are working with preview, okay, and the transform tools. All right, let me turn on the visual guide for the z-axis so you see it up and down like so. All right, as I mentioned before from the previous video, Blender's up and down position is the z-axis. Most program would be the y-axis. Okay, so looking at it from the front, okay, X is your red line. It goes left and right. Okay, Z is the blue line. It goes up and down, and then Y is the green line. It goes in and out. So if you're looking at it from here, this is the side viewport. The green one's not going left and right here. It's going in and out, right? Because that is the front. Okay. Might be confusing to some of you, but with practice, you'll understand the relationship between the the three axis right there with the world coordinate being Z going up. Okay. So let's take a look at our move tool. Okay. The keyboard shortcut, let me turn on my screen cast right here. Okay. The keyboard shortcut for move tool is G, as in George. So if I select an object, then I press G, I click G, then I move my mouse, I can freely move in any axis, up and down, left and right. And if I have this at an angle, and then I tap G, I can even go in and out. Okay, so G is the keyboard shortcut. However, we can combine keyboard shortcut with a combination of an axis direction. So if I press G and then X, which is the red line or x-axis, I'm now restricting my movement. I can only go left and right. No matter what I do, it won't go up and down. Same thing if and I right click to cancel that, by the way, kind of like on the last video. If I press G and then Y, I'm restricting it to kind of like the mask, right? Jim Carrey's. Anyway, let's not get distracted here. Y-axis, right click to cancel. Okay, left click to confirm. Let's say you went like this and you want it to stay there. Left click, it confirms it. So I'm going to do Command Z to undo that, or Control Z. And then finally G and then Z, or Z if you're from Canada and Europe. There's up and down. All right, so that's keyboard shortcut move tool. Now, if you want to use a transform tool gizmo so you can visually see it, and which is I suggest if you're just starting, is to actually use this. Make sure you're doing this while you're in object mode. You might have played around with the interface and you accidentally went to edit mode or hit tab at some point. Okay, and use the cube, folks. As I'm using a fancy model here, but use the cube to practice this. Is to click on the move tool, and right here you can see that you have X, Y, Z axis. So if you want to grab and move your object freely, position your cursor anywhere inside the white circle, and you can, this is like pressing G and moving it around. Okay, moving your mouse around. So I'm going to right click to cancel. If you want to restrict your movement to X, you grab the X arrow, which is the red one, and you are now restricted here. You grab the blue or Z axis, you are restricted to that, and then Y in and out. You also see this planes or square, okay, and one belongs to a combination. So as you can see, if you look at the green one, it's like aligned to the blue and red. So if you grab this green plane, you are restricting your movement to up and down and left and right. It will not go in and out. If you grab the red one, which is aligned to up and in and out, you will not be able to go X. You can only go up and down and in and out. And finally, the blue one, which is aligned to the X and Y, you can only go left and right, in and out, but not up and down. Okay, so that's what it is. When you're efficient with modeling and navigating in 3D, you will be a keyboard shortcut person. But it helps and to understand showing this long form of movement while you're still a beginner. Okay, so with us doing that with the move tool, that would be the same now. Let me turn off the move tool, go back to the select tool here, which is the top one. As you can see, select tool is it's a rectangular select, and if you've noticed any programs that would have this little notch at the corner, if you click and hold down that, that means there's more. Okay, so this is currently just on select box, meaning when you select, you can select, let's say, just those eyeballs and press G and move them. Or if you drag a box like so, it will select everything inside that box and everything would move along with it. Okay, or your selection, that is. So let's go to the next tool, which is the rotate tool. Keyboard shortcut for this one is R. So if I select an object and then press R, it will rotate the object. It will always rotate it based on its pivot point or origin. This origin, you can move any parts of your object. Right now it's positioned at the back right here because I'm not animating this yet. You know, it's just positioned there. Okay, however, when we're animating or modeling, pressing R by itself in 3D perspective, it's probably not very useful because it's free rotation. You don't really know the direction. Okay, however, if you combine also rotate tool with the axis, let's say R and then X, then rotation is only along the X-axis, so this is kind of like a tumble forward and back. If you do R and then Y, it will only rotate along the Y-axis, so very precise that you can do this. If you select this and then press R and then Z, you will have a spin rotation. Okay, so if I select the entire thing, press RZ, there you go. Now let's use the tool and let's see the difference. Okay, so we have all these rings. Remember that white ring that we have in the move tool? You can freely move. It's the same thing with rotation. So if I grab the white circle, it will rotate it based on this view or this angle of a view. However, if I select a particular ring, which is the red one for X, we got our tumble back, forward, right, and backwards. Z would be the spin, and then Y would be the rotation from the front. So you can have precise ones. Okay, keep in mind we are just freely rotating and moving this, but if I turn on my sidebar and I go to the item tab, this is move, rotate, and scale. So if I do rotation along the Y-axis, as you can see here, it gave value to the Y. And if I want precision on the Y-axis, I want 45 degree. There we go. Don't worry about that right there because it's selected and we don't have they're not grouped yet. Okay. All right, so I'm just kind of showing this to you that those values are changing and you can be very precise. So let me click undo. Okay, let's hide the sidebar for now. All right, so in a nutshell, that's rotation. Let's go to the scaling. Again, with scaling, if I scale along using the white circle right here, I'll have uniform scaling. So this is uniform, meaning your object will uniformly scale and resize 1-to-1. However, you can make some really weird scaling with this, kind of like the movie Mask, if you scale along a particular axis. So if you go here, keep in mind this is an organic model. If I scale along the z-axis, so we have those kind of gag animation where, you know, exaggerated animation. So okay, if I grab the center one for this one, it's uniform scale. Keyboard shortcut for scale is S. So let me go to the select tool, press S, drag the mouse, and there it is. Combination of S and X would make your object like so. SY, SZ. All right, doesn't make much sense using an organic model like this, but let's say we go back to our general right here, file new general. Doing file new general, it kind of gives you the original startup file of Blender. We select the cube. Okay, let's say we want to make a 2x4. I select my scale tool, make this one long. Actually, let's shrink it first. Then X, let's say, yeah, sideways, yeah, like so. And then Z to make it 10, like a 2x4. All right, there we go. So now that makes kind of sense than just deforming poor Winston into looking like a freaky dog. Okay. All right, so that's your transform tools in Blender. Move, rotate, scale, G, R, S, and combination of axis. You can also do the sidebar, where instead of moving using the actual tool to move this, you can also go here, click and drag it. You can be very precise. Let's say I wanted 5 units on top. There it is. Or if I go -5, it'll go to the bottom of the center of the world. Okay, either way, it's fine. So this is your transform tools lesson.